So we are engaging in programs of reparations education and mobilization, and in particular promoting reparations literacy. Aligned to this, we are engaging in dialogue. Dialogue is central to broadening our support base, to even building links with others, to understand what our cause of Pan-African reparations is about, and how even us repairing ourselves and being restored and actually receiving measures of justice will actually have an impact on others as well. We must seek to ensure that in the same way that our disrepair and our dispossession resulted in reordering the world, then our repair will similarly do so. Brothers and sisters, we do not have the luxury of waiting another 200 years to fight for justice, even for those that are experiencing neo-colonial forms of enslavement today, of which we should count ourselves. Because if we look at the global economic, trade, political system, we will see that the structures that are in place have come about as a result of our historical experience of chattel enslavement. We must seek to ensure that the discussion around reparations is not just seen as a diasporan conversation. We must build on the progressive links that were solidified and strengthened as a result of the Accra conference that we had last year, of which N'Cobra played such a vital role. Because we have to recognise that the movement for African reparations is a Pan-African movement, and we have to make sure that we're able to develop a strategy and a framework that can incorporate the various initiatives and movements as well as tactics globally. If we do not do this, then we will not be successful. Even if you're going to look at the question of should America pay, if we're going to look at it in those terms, the question of what responsibility America as a nation has is not just a question for those of you who may define yourselves as African Americans. Should America pay is an international question that all of us of African descent should have a say in. Because if we look at the founding of America, built on the dispossession and the genocide of the indigenous peoples of that land, and then if we look at the systems of law and governance and where many of those so-called settlers and colonialists came from, then we come right back to Europe. So the point that I'm trying to make is that we have to internationalize our strategy. We already have the movements, but what we're not doing effectively enough is linking up together so that we can be an effective power base. Without our principled unity as movements, and without us being able to build our power, everything that is on our wish list in terms of African reparations, how are we going to achieve it? We're not going to achieve it without power. Power to be able to enforce our will and our demands in the international arenas, if we're looking at the international economic and political systems and legal systems. But the first task I would want to suggest to you today of the reparations movement is to ensure that we put a full stop to the continued structural, violent plunder of our homelands, of our minerals and our resources. Because if we're talking about reparations, but yet the crimes are still continuing in the present, then we do not have reparations. And the first task of the reparations